two-time national champion Robert Aller is the green flag.
All right, we've got your front pack now already through turn 1. Here comes your second pack going to turn 1 as well. And these cars will spread out here pretty quickly because we've got a lot of different differential cars here throughout the field. Formula Continental cars not normally in with this group, so it'll be very interesting to see how long it takes them to catch the back of the Formula Vs. I'm going to guess by the end of lap 2 or 3 it's going to happen here because those Continentals are wicked fast when you compare it to the very low horsepower Formula Vs.
All right, and we can already see now jumping out to an early lead is Robert Aller in his Continental. Again, two-time national champion took the wins both in 2014 and 2020. And this past year finished second. I think that's three drivers in particular. Bill Styczynski, he has nothing but Formula Vs over his time. And of course, we've got his son who's always in the chat here. 46 years of SCCA racing experience. Ray Carmody out of the Glen region, 40 years of experience. Donnie Isley, our pole sitter, who makes a living as a driving instructor for the BM North America. They're putting grounds down in South Carolina, 42 years. So it's kind of hard to pull the wool over somebody's eyes and pull out racecraft that these three racers haven't seen before.
It's like that in commercial. I know a lot because I've seen a lot. Yeah, these guys, they know what they're doing in these cars, and it's a special kind of driving style to make a Formula V go fast. So they certainly know what they're doing here.
All right, and they're coming into NASCAR turn 3. They're going to be coming into our view in about 45 minutes. Oh, there they are. This is your Formula V race, Brian.
Yeah.
All right.
And there's your Formula Continental. There's Robert Aller going past the entire Formula V lap, or at least he's going to try to, right here on the main straight. He's actually going to let these guys get through these first couple corners, realizing he was going to mess up the race for the lead for these cars. And he did a real gentlemanly thing there by backing off and letting them race. He'll get a better time to go around them when they get through the oval here.
And so as they're coming out of turn 3 now, Donnie Isley in that blue agitator, he is your leader with Russ Fredericks in the black 23 running second. Ray Carmody, who had a brief dalliance with the lead in the number 81 machine. He is back now in third with Styczynski and Filipkowski. But the gap from front of Formula V to back of Formula V when they crossed the line, Brian, was 67 hundredths of a second. And you can see there now is our Formula Continental drivers trying to find a way past without interrupting that race. And great Arno in the white number 24. He made up a lot of ground to Rob Aller as Aller was being incredibly conscientious to the entire Formula V field. But same thing, Charnow, he waited until they got out of turn 7 and got onto that straight running the hairpin before he made the move.
Yeah, it was very interesting because when Aller was trying to be nice, I was saying to myself, wow, that second car is going to catch them really fast, and he was able to scooch by, and then it's kind of right itself. It kind of became kind of a self-clearing pass there. So very, very lucky for Aller to be able to get back out front and probably open up a very similar last 2 seconds to Charnow, but really that's not a big deal.
All right, so here as that Formula V field working their way through turn 3, and Brian, I should point out,
this is a more of a teamwork-oriented track. To be honest with you, with the long banking, it really switches a whole second or two lap time-wise, based off of if you have a dedicated drafting partner out of 8 all the way into 1 or not, and that can really make a big play into what happens during the race.
Yeah,
you can be in the lead pack and lose that draft, and all of a sudden you're getting passed by the time one comes around by 6, 7, 8 cars.
Absolutely, absolutely. So tell us about what you're doing this year.
I have some unreleased plans that are still in the works right now, but I'll definitely be racing the whole series of Toyota GR Cup North America with BSI Racing. So shout out to Mick and Shay and the whole team there, my crew chief Alberto. Those guys are, we're hoping to have a good campaigning this year.
So how did your time in SCCA Club Racing prepare you for that?
I came from zero background in racing. I actually started, my first ever SCCA race was here at Homestead 2 years ago at the Homestead for 2. And that was my first ever racing experience. Before that, I had gone to a racing school and had no previous karting experience or anything like that. So SCCA and initially the Miata class has really helped hone my craft in such a short amount of time. Everybody's so helpful and the racing's so tight, especially in Spec Miata with everything being so competitive. They really enabled me to get up to speed, and I credit all my success towards that so far.
All right, Spec Miata is up for us. Who do you like in that field? Who should we be looking out for?
The ESR gained strong in qualifying so far, per usual. Danny Stein and Frankie Barroso were putting some good laps together in qualifying from what I saw earlier. They're starting about 6 or 7. I definitely keep an eye on them too going into this first race.
All right, great. Jordan, thanks for stopping up and talking with us. We're going to get back to our race action here and look forward to seeing what you're going to do for the year in that series. So thanks a lot for stopping in the booth for a few minutes with us.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
All right, back here looking at this Formula Continental, Formula F, Formula 6, Formula V race. Robert Allaire still our race leader. He's now widened his gap up to 6.4 seconds. Looking back to Formula F, you've got Jonathan Kotek in the lead there, and 6 seconds behind him is John Robinson. One car in F6, that's Keith Joslin. Then down to Formula V, our best race of the moment. All these cars nose to tail. Carmody, Isley, Frederick, Styczynski, and Flipkowski. That is the best race on the racetrack at the moment, Greg.
Yeah, Brian, I was going to say, and here Farmer, he will fall quite a bit off them on the oval there, and he spends that entire infield portion just trying to get back to within a car length and a half to 2 car lengths. But in Formula V, you said it. Here they come through turns 3 and 4. Ray Carmody had opened up, had gotten around Donnie Isley, had retaken the lead when we broke for that interview. Carmody had been sitting back in 3rd position, and you can see now it is a 3-car breakaway with Carmody, Donnie Isley, and William Styczynski. Jeff Filipkowski and Russell Fredericks now have fallen quite a bit off, and I think that's our leader, Aller. Once again, kind of sitting back and waiting for the best opportunity to blow by the Formula V field.
Yeah, definitely helping out with that and being really respectful. And with a 6-7 second lead, I guess there's no worries about that. So he can definitely allow that to happen. Where it comes a little bit harder is for that grouping of Farmer, Wright, and Kotek. I'm sorry, Deffer, Farmer, and Wright. They're in a heated battle for 3rd place in Formula Continental. It will make picking through the Formula V field even harder for them because they're not going to want to give up a centimeter on this racetrack as they go around them.
Yeah, and we'll have to take a look here. We can see here pulling all the way to the inside. I'm wondering if that is Russ Fredericks. When we saw Robert Aller go by both Jeff Filipkowski and Russell Fredericks on that run down to the hairpin. Actually, I think it might be Jeff Filipkowski. Fredericks got into the draft of the Continental for the briefest of moments and got pulled about 5 car lengths ahead. And I thought, well, maybe that's how strong the draft is. But indeed, it looked like Filipkowski really fell off the pace, and something might be up with that car. We'll have to see the next time they come by. That last time around, he was almost 2 seconds off of Russ Fredericks' pace, and they had been, again, sitting nose to tail for pretty much the entire race.
All right, 9 minutes left in this race. Aller, Charnaud, Deffer, Farmer, Wright. That's your top 5 in Formula Continental. Then you've got Kotek, Robinson, and Morgan, your top 3 in Formula F. Joslin still your lone Formula 6 car. And then you've got Carmody, Isley, Styczynski, Fredericks, and Filipkowski. That's your top 5 in Formula V.
as we watch that battle coming down into the hairpin. And look at that battle for third in Formula Continental comes up onto the back of the Formula V field. And given the situation, I didn't think that they were going to be nearly as generous, Brian, in respecting that Formula V race. But somehow it played out right. The Deffer, Farmer, and Wright were able to get by just on the exit of the hairpin. But once again, you can see there how far Robert Wright drops off from the two ahead of him there as they come onto the oval. But I think we actually have a change, and I think Paul Farmer has now gotten around to Mark Deffer, so move Farmer up into third, and Deffer now down in the fourth.
Well, and the big loser in that situation, if you go to the Formula V field, letting those cars through, Bill Styczynski, who was in third place, but right up on the tail of Donnie Isley. He's now dropped back 3 seconds, and that's definitely what happened in that exchange with those Continental cars trying to get through there coming out of the hairpin.
Yeah, he was just if they had been maybe 2 car lengths further ahead, he might not have been balked on the exit. But what ended up happening is those Continentals, they came underneath him and slid right across his nose, and he just had to get out of the throttle. And when you're coming on to an oval here in such a long run down the oval, it is definitely not the spot where you want to be going 3/4 throttle, and it certainly bit him all the way around. And there's Brian Styczynski. Brian Styczynski, that's Bill's son, who I believe will be joining him on track a little bit later this season. He's saying it as well, that it's got to be rough being broken away from the V-Pack. And so here, as we now have just a touch over 6 minutes remaining, just about 6.5 minutes remaining. The 2 large battles we've got here: battle for third in Continental, battle for the lead in Formula V. Jonathan Kotek is now we've got a car that goes around. And Brian, was that the Wright machine? I think that might have been Robert Wright in the number 90 Continental, indeed, that went around going into turn 1. And once again, we see where a driver picks up a little more speed, and they're maybe not prepared for the lack of grip coming through 1 going into 2, as Robert Wright had just run his fastest lap of the race and was almost was about 0.2 faster than Farmer ahead, and just had the rear end walk around on him. All right, so we'll take a look here as Wright has recovered, but he's got a long way to go. And now side by side, and again, this is the battle for the lead as they come down in the 6 and 7. And Donnie Isley in the blue number 30 machine, he retakes the lead in Formula V from Ray Carmody, and it looks like Styczynski's starting to close that gap down as both Carmody and Isley were battling for the lead. So he may have lost a little bit 2 laps ago, but he is definitely tightening things up. And it looks like a lot of the Formula V field starting to get closer. There is one of our Formula F machines a little bit further behind there, and I think that is, check that out, I think that is James Morgan, who's currently running, Morgan is currently running third in Formula F in the 01 machine. But Robert Aller, we talked about Brian, how Aller back on lap 5 had let that Formula V race continue, and Chris Charnow had closed up to within about 2.5, 3 seconds. The gap now from Aller back to Charnow now over 14, and as Aller crosses the line to start lap number 16 for him. And that battle, that was a 3-car battle for third, now a 2-car battle for third, almost another 10 seconds back from Charnow. So that Continental race is really stretched out over the course of this 25-minute race.
Well, it is, and you can also notice that Robert Allaire put that his fast lap down, his purple lap on lap 12. He went a 1:22.2. Last lap a 1:24.6. So he now knows with about 2, maybe 3 laps left in this race that he's got this thing in hand, and he's just gonna nurse this car home, not put any more stress on it, and take his first race win of the year if all continues to go as it has.
All right, so Brian, let's jump back to this battle for the lead in Formula V as they're coming out of the hairpin now and heading onto the oval. So it's Isley and Carmody, but Styczynski now, he has made up the 3 seconds. I don't know where that time came from, but he is now right back on the gearbox of the 81 of Carmody, and it is a 3-car battle now here for the lead with a little bit less than 3 minutes remaining. So, somewhere around for the V's, probably about 4 laps
and he's right
to
there.
Go at most. Yeah, he's right there.
It is not 9/10 of a second anymore. He is now right there on the back. I wonder if he's been able to take advantage of drafting off of some of these big cars to get himself back into the field. It's the only thing I can think of, because usually there's not a lot of power to make up 3.5 seconds in this kind of a situation.
Well, and you can see he certainly was in the draft of both Isley and Carmody on that last lap, as he was able to run almost 0.7 of a second faster than either of our 2 leaders. So great run for him. And you can see one of our Formula F racers there trying to make his way past the Formula V field. Again, kind of hitting it right at the right time, just at the right time. Coming out of turn 5, going into turn number 6, is able to clear them, as our corner worker there was giving our Formula V racers the blue flag, letting them know that there was some faster traffic behind. But they're going to have to deal once again fairly soon, it looks like, with Chris Charno in the number 24 car, currently running 2nd in class.
Yep, since there are no battles for the lead in our other classes here, let's stick with Formula V here till the end of this race. 1.5 minutes to go. 1st through 3rd in Formula V, covered by less than a second. And it is going to be a very interesting race here to the end. White flag is out for the overall leader at the start-finish line with Donnie Isley, Raymond Carmody, and Bill Styczynski. Your 1, 2, 3 in Formula V, and we'll see how this thing plays out, Greg.
All right, so there you go. Robert Auer working his very last lap, and again had almost a 15-second advantage over Charno. That advantage now drops to 13. But here comes our Formula V field. They are working their last lap now as they fan out 3 wide. It's Donnie Isley in the lead in the blue number 30 Agitator, and then side by side in the turn 1, it's Styczynski and Carmody.
Yeah,
and
Styczynski took that 2nd place spot there going into turn 1, and we will see if he can keep it together and catch up to the back of Isley in this last bunch of corners here.
Yeah, and so we've seen where Styczynski has had the pace. A lot of that is aided by the draft, and again, he is now sitting right underneath the gearbox of the number 30 machine, but likewise, Carmody is right back behind him. All 3 drivers, they're getting the blue flag once again, as one of our Continental drivers is coming up behind. And I believe that this is actually Mark Deffer, who has now managed to work his way clear of Paul Farmer. So that battle for 3rd is now done, as our leader, Robert Auer, coming out of turn number 4, NASCAR turn 4. There he is, and taking the checkered flag. There you go, Robert Auer. He will win Formula Continental. So, Brian, let's move back to that Formula V race if we can.
Waiting to see where they are. Here they come. They're going to come out of 3 and 4 here. And that's going to be here.
We're going to get them here eventually, Brian. They're coming. They're pedaling as hard as they can. They should be coming into our view in just a moment. We'll give you a rundown of the other classes here in a moment. There they are.
There they are. And it looks like that's the 3rd place car of Carmody trying to come around into 2nd. Not quite sure how this is going to pan out, but we're going to see in just a second.
And there you go, as they come to the line, Brian, Donnie Isley, our pole sitter today, he manages to hold off Ray Carmody. Margin of victory, 111 thousandths, 1,100, something along those lines. William Styczynski, 94 thousandths of a second back. Yes, all right, it was 1/10 of a second. I'm just trying to make it sound more dramatic. But 205 thousandths, 2/10 of a second, separating our top 3 racers in Formula V. Russ Fredericks will finish 4th. Jeff Obkowski will finish 5th. Let's move over to Continental, where, again, our overall winner, Robert Aller, the class of the field,